Okay.
We'll see how far that goes.
We had salsa, and they did a good job. That's what, then we had 4 inches of rain after we finished. We got water in the basement.
Yeah, couldn't you bring she take that on the website, please?
Okay.
That was 2 years ago,
If you can.
3 years ago. It's awful.
All right, it's 5:30. We can call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So that's bringing around a paper for all of the guests. If you would identify yourself on that for his
You
safety.
could just sign your name and kind of pass that around, so.
Oh, so for the minutes.
Yeah, for the next.
Good idea.
Number 2 is present.
Yep. I suppose we don't have to.
I think he was. He's about to ask you if you're here anyway.
That might help a little bit.
Time for roll call.
Okay.
You're set.
Can I use your pen? I get mine away from you. Okay, roll call. Brenda,
Here.
Steve Heron,
Here.
Carol,
I'm here.
Jade,
Here.
Lexi,
Here.
Jean.
Here.
Okay.
That gives us a quorum. For tonight, okay, our first item on the agenda then is to approve the agenda for tonight. That's just a copy.
Oh, I don't want that.
I'll make a motion approving the agenda for tonight.
I'll second.
Wait, hold that thought.
Oh, what?
Sorry, do you want to take that 10 off? Direct deposit? Or we can table, we were just like
Yeah.
to table the number 10, approving the resolution. We have a few details to work out on that regard.
Which resolution, Brenda?
It was to authorize a direct deposit for city employees. So that is what's
Okay, so that one's taken away.
to the night to table that. So with that amendment,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with amendment to it.
okay. And
Second that with the amendment change.
Carol. We've had a motion,
Resolution change, I guess is what it is.
we've had a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the subtraction of tabling of item 10 until the next meeting. Do I have any other further discussion?
I do. If you look at look up here in the top left-hand corner, Scott Wise is labeled as city managers/clerk. We don't have a manager-clerk type of government, city government. We have a clerk administrator type government. So that has to be changed, or that has to be changed, corrected.
What did we approve for his title? Was it city manager clerk, city clerk, or was it city clerk?
We'll have to check back.
Because I thought
In our-
that's what we redid. That
We never passed an ordinance.
No, I didn't know we needed an ordinance for it.
Yeah, it needs to be a resolution, and the ordinance needs to be changed
Update.
if we're gonna do a management type.
We have administrator.
Yeah, we had city clerk administrator, didn't we?
Yeah.
Does it have to be either way? If it's an administrator or city manager?
The code says clerk administrator.
Oh, okay, so we can just change it to that?
Yeah, in the definitions, in Article 1, it says clerk shall mean city clerk or city clerk administrator of Paullina. In the table of contents, it's labeled as city clerk administrator. And then if you look at, we left the administrator section of that ordinance blank. for further use. So there is no manager. There is no manager in the ordinance.
Oh, okay. So we either have to update the ordinance or put it to an administrator. Is that what you're saying?
If you're gonna have a management style government, then that is a whole nother ballgame,
Oh, really?
you know?
Is that in our book? Our ordinance book or in our regular?
There is, that does not describe a manager type. There is no ordinance for a manager type government. We just have it as city clerk administrator.
Okay.
So we're requesting that the title be clarified to city clerk administrator?
It has to be, yes. And any documents from here on out that we send out to the public, it has to be clerk administrator. It can't be clerk manager because we don't have manager style government.
Did you consult with Tish on this?
That's what it is in the ordinance.
It's in the book that way.
Yep, it's in the ordinances that way.
Okay.
Article 13.
Okay, well, I guess we can all look at that and see what we see.
Okay. Any other additions to the agenda, which sort of works as an agenda addition, but not really? We'll include that note
Sure.
regarding the 2 amendments then to that. Any other additional discussion or questions or clarification?
I have a question. So with it being a holiday and everything, so obviously I didn't get my agenda till Tuesday because I was going out of the town. So why does it take so long? We have 2 weeks in between meetings to get the agenda done. Like, why does it take, I don't know when they got it. They told me they dropped it off Saturday. That's what Donna Moore told me, they dropped it off Saturday. I got it Tuesday morning when I was at work. Like, that gives me hardly any time to prep to get ready for the meeting. So thank goodness I had a lunch break, so I scrolled through it all, but like we have 2 weeks in advance. So why can't we get it Friday before our Monday meeting?
Ideally, I'd like to have it out 2 Wednesdays before meeting. But that's seeming to be an impossible fact.
In the 24 hours, I mean, it needs to be out in the public, so the public has a clear and concise idea of what the agenda is and what's going to be discussed. The 24 hours is sufficient, that's the minimum. So ultimately, it would be nice to have the agenda out sooner than that.
Well, definitely to you, for sure.
Especially to the council, yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a holiday weekend here, and the ordinance says it has to be posted in 3 different places, and our designated places is City Hall, the post office, and the newspaper. And if it's a holiday weekend, or even any weekend, and we get it at Saturday at 11:13 is when I got mine. Yes, it's posted at the post office, but then how can anybody see it at City Hall on a Saturday or a holiday weekend and at the newspaper?
Well, that's kind of been a tradition, but I agree it should face out, at least on the door when the door is locked. Other than louder rentals, no one is allowed to see it.
Or have a board that, with the glass in front of it that we can display it outside. But if you got the agenda out beforehand, for example, on a Wednesday or a Thursday, then the public has time to come in and review the agenda.
Or we can even add stuff to it if we need to quick.
Yeah, I think sometimes they're doing bills late and stuff too, accounts payable. So I know, because we usually get an extra sheet on that, so sometimes that's probably part of it.
But it still can be, if we still have to, approve
Additional claims.
the claims, that can be on the agenda, and the public knows that that's what we're gonna, and if the claims is not in the packet of the agenda, we still at least have that on the table when we get here.
Right. As long as we got a line item for it.
For us, it would be nice to have the claims ahead of time so we can review that.
Right.
But as long as it's on the agenda to the public that says we're gonna approve claims, payment of claims, then they know that we have claims that we're gonna, that we're gonna pay or approve.
Yeah.
So yes, it sure would be nice to have the agenda out a lot sooner than it has been getting out.
I concur. The other challenge is we have Monday meetings. If that weren't the case, that would help us out too, because coming over, we're always gonna have a holiday or a weekend anyway, that wastes a few days of actual visibility. For the most
Friday
part.
for sure should be the latest.
Okay. Anything else regarding the agenda as it is here or in the future?
Can we go back to colored paper like it was? Like the old
For the
agenda,
minutes and
like
everything,
after this meeting, can we do minutes once a month?
right, and do everything on the same like we used to.
And do everything like the old agenda?
I wouldn't have a problem with that either. And also colored paper, I agree, but I
It's
would like
just,
to.
if you go somewhere and they're like, oh, let's go back to the, it's just easier to find.
Yep,
For sure.
Who's putting the agenda together?
The agenda is developed by me and would be Scott.
Okay.
yep.
Anything else? If not, we can call for a vote on approving the agenda for the September 6th regular meeting as amended accordingly and previously stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. Agenda approved. Approving August 15th regular meeting minutes. Lexi, given what you've just stated, would you prefer to hold these until, and table this until the next meeting?
No, we can do it like this and then the next meeting just go back to normal once a month. So
Like we did before.
like we did before.
Yep.
Done?
Do both of them
You love them at one
At the
meeting.
at one meeting, at the first meeting of the month.
Did you see anything, Carol, since you weren't here at the meeting?
I didn't,
Okay.
no, I read them, but being Zion wasn't here, I won't make a comment on anything.
I didn't see anything,
Yeah.
but someone else might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
I'll make the motion to approve the August 15th, 22 regular meeting minutes.
Okay, motion by Lexi,
I'll second.
second by Jean to approve the minutes for August 15th regular meeting as included in your packet. Is there any further discussion, questions, or clarification?
I have a question on the October tree cleanup.
Oh,
On the
which
little,
Which one?
on the October cleanup.
Oh, okay.
It said on that little stuffer that we got that you get a virtual, you just have to sign up here at the city. But if you don't have anything on that list that you have to pay for, you don't have to sign up, right? Then you just go by, or you still have to sign up, so the
If you're throwing,
Garbage man,
if you're throwing
everybody knows.
furniture or whatnot out, you're gonna have to sign up.
you still sign up.
And then the other stuff is
Payable.
extra on top of the
Okay,
flag.
because that's what I wasn't for sure. If somebody asks if you just put out regular stuff
Like
that's
if you
not
just have a-
electrical or whatever,
Washer and dryer that needs picked up, and you call and say you need a washer and dryer picked up, and you pay for the washer and dryer, then it
then
gets
you're on
picked
the
up.
list.
But if you have a couch and a bed and stuff like that you want, then you need to call in for the virtual flag and,
You do. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure, that we knew what we tell people if they ask,
Okay.
so. Because I thought you only had to get the flag when you signed up because you paid for some specific things. But you're saying regardless,
if you want us to stop and pick something up at your house,
you have to pay the
call and get a virtual
$15.
flag.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I want to know. Okey-doke.
Good clarification. Anybody else? Questions related to that or anything else for Kelly or related to the minutes? If not, we've had a motion and a second, a motion by Lexi and a second by Jean to approve those minutes. We'll call for a vote. All in favor of said minutes approval, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. That's all in favor of approving the minutes. Item number 6, you have the treasurer's report from Janine. There you are, Janine, right there. Do you want to talk us through any of this, or answer?
I know nobody's had a chance to really look at it. I just got the last information to complete it today. So,
Today?
yes.
I knew you had some late Friday, so I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you were ready
Well, some
yet.
on Friday and the last of it today, so I know you haven't had a chance to look it over. I don't know if anybody sees anything that looks out of place. These balances that are shown on here match the bank statements.
That's what we about.
I'm sorry, if you were going to print out something off of your computer that said the treasurer's report for May or June, the balances would not match these because those computer reports show everything that has been issued, whether or not it has cleared the bank. This report shows only what has gone through the bank, what has cleared the
This
bank.
report here.
Yes, what I did.
Okay.
That's what I've always done.
So there can be outstanding checks.
There can be outstanding checks, and especially, for instance, if there's a payroll date right at the end of the month, likely not all of those checks are going to clear that month. And so there's always going to be outstanding checks. But what is on this report that I am giving you is what actually cleared the bank, and these totals match the bank balance.
I have a stupid question.
Yeah,
That's not stupid. The general, how many do you have just one bank statement? Or do you have a statement for each checking account?
well, as far as I'm aware, there is only one checking
Okay.
account.
Okay,
It's one statement is all I have.
okay,
There are various funds within that
okay, that's what I was
account,
wondering.
but only one bank account that I'm aware of, except for a couple CDs. And you will see on the June sheet that I listed the 2 CDs that there are under the investments column. I have never done that before because I've never had that information before. So that was the first month that I did that. And the rest of these sheets are not filled out because I have no idea what checks are outstanding. I only know what's cleared. So this is what I always gave to Sandy. When I would get the next month, like at the end of May, when she would give me the first couple days of June, would give me the information for May, then I would have a completed spreadsheet for that month, for the previous month. But she filled out the rest of it. And including the column that says interest earned, because you will see at the bottom, the third line up from the bottom on these sheets, there's a total in there for interest received. Well, that was fine for May. Then when I wanted to do June, I had to go back and calculate all that interest to have the beginning balances for June be accurate. I had never had to do that before either. That was always part of a spreadsheet that Sandy gave me. Apparently, nobody is doing that spreadsheet now. I have not received anything like that, not received a spreadsheet with outstanding checks on it, so I don't know what you're going to want to do in the future.
If we do that, do you have an old spreadsheet you could show us?
I have, well, these spreadsheets Whitney printed for me, or I think Whitney printed for them off the computer. The blank ones.
Do you have a spreadsheet that Sandy used to do?
Oh, yeah, I have one, the last one I have is for the month of March,
Okay,
but I do have that at home.
okay, so you can maybe show them what it looks like, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm going to be expected to do that. I'm going to need more information
Absolutely.
than what I got. Anyway, what I did for May and June was exactly what I used to do for Sandy. That's what I was told. Do these 2 months exactly as you always did. That's what I did.
Okay.
Finish them up.
But I will make a comment that if, I know that Scott and I had a meeting with Carol, I don't know what her last name is, I think she's the city clerk in Primgar. Okay. Her recommendation was that the duplicate deposit tickets and the check stubs not be allowed to leave this building, meaning that I couldn't take them home and do it at home. If you decide you're going to do that, if you're going to follow that recommendation, then you're going to also have to look for somebody else for my position, because I am not willing to spend the number of hours that I have spent for May and June. I get paid for roughly about 6.5 hours, and I think I have at least 30 hours in.
Did she say why she made that recommendation?
She said that they are official documents for the city. Well, I know, and she looked at me and she said, who knows if your house would burn down? And I looked back at her and I said, who knows if the city building would burn down? I said, I've been doing this job for 40 years, Carol, and I have never lost a piece of paper from the city yet. So, anyway, just as an example, I have made a really simplified example of why it's important for me to have the check stubs and the deposit tickets. And I'll explain in a second what I got on the sample.
Thanks.
Okay, the funds that I have listed all in order, those would all be separate sheets, one for each of those funds. Okay, so if we issue a check, when it comes through the bank statement has a check number on, and I compare that to the stub, and which is spread for whatever amount goes to general, water, whatever, however it gets divided up. But the accounts that are on the computer do not have any reference to those check numbers. It just says, in my sample, Beck Engineering. Okay, if there's two $20,000 checks issued to Beck Engineering, one clears the bank and one does not. How do I know if the $10,000, the $5,000, and the $5,000 make up that $20,000 check, or was it the $20,000 check that cleared? I have no way of knowing if I don't have those check stubs.
Yeah, right.
And so it would mean, paging through hundreds of pages of these accounts, and this is a simplified example. Supposing the check was written for $63.49, I would have to look through every account trying to find numbers that add up to that amount. It would take me hours and hours and hours.
Right, especially for that many accounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think we need to find out maybe a little bit more for sure. See once what I don't know what all the rules are, what we need to do, or what, and then get back to you, because we need to get July and August done. So that'll be the next 2 months. So, let's see where we're at.
Yeah, I would like, if I'm going to continue to do it, I would like to get up to date. This really
Yes.
bothers me that
No, I agree.
we're behind.
Yep, we need to get it done. Especially if we're gonna get an audit in here,
Yeah.
so. No.
If anybody has any questions, fine. If not, that's all I have, so I will leave.
Thank you.
Specific for Janine?
Thank you.
No, I just feel her pain.
Yep, we all have done that.
Okay.
Thank you, Janine.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome. Okay, if you would like to officially, you don't have to take action on that at this point, but you could make a motion to move and second and approve the receipt of her payments so that that is also in the minutes as well, rather than just being on the agenda. That's a good way to document that she provided all this material to us.
I'll make a motion to approve Altman's report from the engineer.
Can we approve that even though?
Just approving the receipt of,
Receipt.
not really approving it.
Approving the receipt.
Receipt of her treasurer's report.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
That's. Okay, so Carol has approved the receipt of Jenny's treasurer's reports for May and June 2022.
Oh, sorry.
A second from Lexi.
Can I ask a question about the treasurer's report?
Maybe. Is it, we're in the middle of business.
So is that a no?
I don't know that it fits with the order, Robert's Rules of Order. So I would have to say no, not at this time, sorry. Unless it's going to change someone's vote, which it's not probably supposed to be intended to do. So at this point, I have a motion and a second to receive treasurer's reports as provided from Janine tonight. Does anyone have any other questions or clarification on council? If not, call for a vote to accept those, accept receipt of those. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All ayes. Received. All right, item number 7, approve the payment of claims, which you have also at your spots. I mean, there are additional ones at your spot, and the claims report is in your packet.
I do have a question.
Yep.
In July, $235.68 were on a purchase on Kelly Todd's credit card. I did ask him about it, and it was for some clocks. I did not see that in the claims report back in July or August. So I was wondering how or I guess why did we order clocks and they didn't come to the city council with approval for that? I guess, because I asked Kelly since it was on his card.
Did we not get an individual bill because it was like on the credit card bill, correct?
There's a couple of ones.
It was a purchase. It
On the
was
credit
purchased
card
for
bill.
these clocks. We never approved that. I believe Brenda purchased them,
Correct.
and we never approved the purchase of those clocks.
So that's why we've never approved it on the claims report?
We
Well, it
wouldn't,
wasn't separated, just like any of your
yeah,
past
it'd be
credit
like
card
any
bills
other
are
credit
not
card bill.
itemized out.
Oh,
It
just a
was part
total
of his
check from him?
balance, yes.
Oh, I see.
She has, they all have the receipts.
Okay.
But
And I recall that, we gave the employees, Kelly, the city superintendent, I believe it was up to $1,000 without permission from the council, but I don't know that we gave that to anyone else. So that should have been brought forward for approval.
But they were paid for,
Yeah, on Kelly's card.
okay?
It was a city credit card, and has Kelly's name on it, from what I understand, is that correct?
That's-
Yeah.
Okay. It just wasn't said that that's what part of that bill was on the credit card for Kelly's. That was specifically.
Was not specific in the claims list when we approved it.
Okay.
And it wouldn't have been,
That's your
I don't think.
card bill, yeah, we don't
It would
know.
have just been like a Visa bill or a MasterCard bill.
Right. So that would be the only way.
We don't have a nice amount.
And like I said, I recall, I don't know what meeting it was in, but I recall giving approval up to $1,000 for the superintendent without bringing it to the council. I remember doing that. I can't tell you for sure when we did that.
I think it's like right when we came on. That, you know, 3 years ago.
Geez, are you ever back that far?
Apparently.
No idea. We'd have to look back in the minutes,
Yeah.
so. Unless Kelly remembers.
Did the Blooming House just get paid, is just getting paid now? I thought we had that approved a long time ago. Did they just not send a bill, or?
That's
I
what I
seen
was
that too.
wondering.
I thought it was
the only
awful
old
late.
one?
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah,
was
it's
late
awful
too.
late. More of them, did we?
Because this wasn't paid till like in August then, or July.
We did that right away at the beginning.
So I think we better be cautious in how we handle that. If we approved it in, when did you say it was, in July?
In July.
If we approved it in July, I guess it's done and over with, but that should have never happened.
Okay. Do we have any other questions about your claims listed here or on the additional sheet? What's the big landfill one for, Kelly? Like that? We have
Probably
some
Mullins.
landfill extra
I'm assuming that's probably be Mullins.
What's that?
chunk for landfill.
That's
Above
about
whatever our
what it
normal
is.
is, we don't know.
Did we ever get that bill from Town and Country? Did we
We get
clean
one.
up the,
Because we have one on this bill too for 6,000. And then we got another one. I don't know when they want to be approved or when they bring them in. Is the 6,000 one from August and this is a new one for September maybe? 'Cause that's what I'm guessing.
or did we ever get a bill yet for cleaning out the old Iowa State Bank?
I don't know if that was included on with this. I don't know how they did it.
Is it listed on their bills, what it's for?
Kelly might know how they did that for the bank. I don't know.
Do
Did you look at it at all?
I don't have it, yeah, I don't,
Is that part of that, Town and Country? Is that part?
That's Town and Country who did it. It's like- There's probably a dumpster charge and stuff like that.
I figured this Town and Country one on the additional would probably be for the old Iowa State Bank, but I don't know.
Oh, no, this is their monthly bill.
Oh,
Yeah, like
But
this.
it might be in there,
It's-
because it's over the
Right.
one on the other
Right.
claims. So it could be in there.
And they got the landfill one for 2,300 too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they would have combined it all.
sure. We'd have to look to see it.
So we have two 6,000 on
Yeah.
Town and Country,
It's a lot.
One's 6,000, one's 5,000 something.
almost 6,000.
Yep.
5,980.
Oh.
But I remember that we've had those before, that those additional claims, and I think they get them in the first of the month. And I think that's what. So maybe, this is August maybe.
I think maybe I'll Scott call him and check with them tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, either
Ask
that or
for
get
clarification on those
just
two.
a copy, just get a look at your bill. It should be, I would hope they have a statement on it. Accounting thing. Is our mosquito man all done? Or does he spray yet? I see we got his bill on it.
He was just out.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, it was.
You know if that was the end of it?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
This is a bill. Pretty close.
I haven't seen a lot of mosquitoes, it's probably I've seen one.
That's good.
I didn't see much either
Enough
this year.
flies.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're terrible.
This is your
So we're just,
compensation for that.
So what
Is
was
that-
the Shane clinker for your Yvonne Johnson for? I'm assuming that's in her name now?
that's,
Well, at the very end.
how much we pay
You
for
can't buy fuel to sleep in.
lawyer fees to do that.
Okay, so luckily you have the ability to. Okay. Try to clarify the make well, in case it happens again. Are fire extinguishers all up to date? Do we have 5 new ones or just refurbished ones there for Hyman?
You guys all up to date?
What was the, Shane clinker about with Yvonne Johnson?
What?
Who's to do the legal work to get that locked?
Is it in her name now?
We have 90 days from when they file.
It's this one. Not really exact date. It's got to be soon. Might be on that bill.
What's for it?
Yep. We'll find it out shortly, I would think.
They have 90 days.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions for anyone on these list of claims to be paid? Motion then, second, if you were to approve the claim, payment of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims list.
One second. Nobody else got any questions?
And a motion by Jean, second by Carol, to approve payment of claims on the claims report and the additional claims provided tonight in the packet. Do you have any other questions or clarification? Guys all in favor of approving payment of claims, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All ayes, motion carried. Did you say you were abstaining? No.
No, she hit me.
I get it.
Okay. All right, we are to item 8, which is our public hearing on the proposed revenue purpose statement related to the franchise fee on energy providers operating in the city of Paullina. We will now declare that this public hearing is open as of 6:08. Did you receive any written or oral comments regarding this in the office since the last time?
No,
Weeks ago?
nope, nothing's been sent in.
Is this for the Black Hills Energy?
Yep. Is this the third reading?
Yes, it will be later after
Third.
this.
Yeah, we
It's
don't
further
have
back
them.
at 12.
We don't have it listed.
Don't have them in our packet.
I don't think we do. I would do.
It's, no, it's
Say this, the conversation,
Say table.
approving it, or it's the same thing.
no oral or written comments. Do we have any from our audience? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing at 6:09. All right, moving forward to reports. The least.
We have to vote on that.
Yeah, we probably
Or
do.
vote on that.
Do we have
I
to
move that
Most of
we
approve it?
approve the third reading of
Oh, well, that's back here. You don't have to prove that one till back here. The third reading is actually separated out.
Okay.
This was-
Oh, okay.
This was just
Oh,
public
okay.
hearing moved up for comments wise. So you'll get that.
Oh, okay, so we don't have to prove it now.
This was just to listen in if anyone had
Oh,
comments or feedback.
Oh, okay, you're just checking on that. Okay.
See the full reading.
Yeah, okay. It's normally not split apart, but. We had a storm, we had great community support and cleanup, and Prim Guard helped us out, and of course Kelly has more details on all of that, and Scott, but I thought everybody was pretty happy. I did get a citizen comment that they thanked you for doing their tree, cutting up their big tree, from Paulson's regarding that. They wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that was a very nice thing, and I appreciate the work of you guys.
We also got a card from, says, "Hey guys, just wanted to say thanks for cleaning up the big branch we lost during the storm. Thought you did a wonderful job cleaning it up. Thanks again, Ron and Sally Shutnick."
Good.
Who sent that one in?
Ron Shutnick.
Ron?
I've heard lots of positive feedback and how fast you got the town cleaned up the next day, and also I think that was definitely kudos to our crew for that
Good job,
surprise
Ben.
storm. That caught everybody off guard.
Yeah.
The update to the IPIB, we just had some records requests sent to the requester just right before the meeting, so I do not have any, could not update that fast enough, but some of those have been handled. Ours is handled and submitted anyway, from Tisha to Mary. And so the informal resolution, you should have that addition to your agenda as well. You can see that, that was through IPIB, which is Iowa Public Information Board. So they are requesting that we provide this as part of our meeting. We have 90 days to fulfill these requests, which includes developing a records release policy, which is sorely needed, and
We
to,
never had one at all.
not really, no,
Right.
regarding anything.
Of course, it looks like it just started here too in May. They said this was signed into law. This 22.3.
Yes, that is an adjustment for the reasonable costs, but, and then the other part of it is to get training on chapters 21 and 22 of Iowa Code regarding that, which IPIB or League of Cities can do with us, or Tisha, or however, Tisha's going to contact them to see how they want to proceed with that. But we can either call a separate workshop, or we can have it part of our meeting. All the money.
So this is just something new we have to do, or?
Yep.
This is the informal resolution. You need you to approve it at an open and public meeting, number 5 on the back there, and then you will include it in the official minutes.
So we do it back there then, right?
And I just want to say, yeah, make that statement that you approve the informal resolution from IPIB. Use that number.
Yep.
And that might be good.
Can we go back and talk about something in the report? I'd just like to talk about the storm response. It was awesome that everybody turned out, that we got the work done in a safe manner. Just want to caution everyone that, there are people that are in charge of this site, and more so the fire department would be in charge of that emergency site. And even as council members, we have to stay out of their way. They know what they need to do. Kelly, the city superintendent, knows what he needs to do, and the fire chief needs to know what they do on an emergency location. And I think I don't want to lose the fact that people are appreciative of what we did, and I appreciate what happened. But we need to be careful that we have the people that are supposed to be in charge are in charge, and they they take care of that emergency site as they're trained. So,
Well, I think
I'll
that
just-
emergency management book tells exactly who can all be there. I
Yeah.
think the mayor and the fire department, the ambulance, all those different people.
We're in
are
the
supposed to be-
process of updating the EOP.
Yep, so,
We put it on hold with the change of
Everything.
city
So,
clerks and
or,
stuff, so.
well, the mayor,
employees.
now that you brought that up, the mayor can be there to oversee, but unless the mayor declares a proclamation of emergency, the mayor cannot make any orders or tell anybody. There is a chain of command and emergency action that the fire department and the city clerk or city superintendent need to take. Unless the mayor declares a proclamation of emergency, and that's in the ordinance, then it would go to the mayor, and the mayor only supervises that.
yeah, I just remember when we worked on it, that one was at the top,
Yeah,
that the mayor had to be
well,
included in some of that stuff.
there's a process, though, like
Okay.
Steve said, that has to be declared
Okay.
an emergency.
Okay.
And until that is declared, I'm ultimately, like, for that example, on Bertha Street with the tree and the power lines, that's an emergency scene. So I'm incident command unless I relinquish command.
Okay.
And then if the damage is to an emergency proclamation, then it would become unified command.
Okay.
And there would be several incident commanders working together as a unified.
Because if it was like power lines or whatever, then it would go to
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll interject something here too. The mayor and the council people have to have that training. There is instant command training that the council people and the mayor has to take. And
Is that what he's
it was
planning on
about
doing?
5 or 6 years ago, we tested on it. when I was on the council.
so
So,
to follow up with John, that's part of
What,
the,
updating that book and
the
stuff?
class, well, the classes that you go and do online, there's 2 different classes you have to do, and everybody has to have that. And that's all part of my federal grant writing process, is everybody has that, even the fire department has to have it. So, I mean, that's all, that affects our federal, not just the fire departments, but as far as the city's federal grant funding also, so.
Okay, yep, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, Tisha's not here for anything to include. We did have a recent meeting, so we'll be updating things accordingly, but for now, that passes it on to you. Their
did
superintendent
you
report.
approve that statement?
The revenue purpose statement?
That's coming in item 12 in the back.
So it's
The
not.
actual call is a separate
I called
in
that.
business, so it's not just part of a report.
Yep.
Guys have been spending most of their time doing hydrant flushing. I think that took it took Josh and Rich about 2 weeks to complete. Did clean up from the storm, picked up more paint in Orange City to paint streets. Hooked up Dean Potabom's underground and removed his overhead service at the house he's doing on Wood and Broadway. Moved the overhead service at Herdig's house across the street. Pulled meter off for siding on Maple Street. Picked up the digger truck in Milwaukee. Replaced water shutoff on Rutledge. Replaced shutoff riser at the daycare. We excavated a few other shutoffs to be replaced. Replaced water shutoff inside the theater. I believe they're getting new bathrooms or sinks, or I'm not sure what they're all doing, but we put a shutoff in the basement for them. Picked up sticks, we pushed up the tree pile 3 times. The west lift station was giving us fits, so we finally got that fixed on Sunday. Treated the lagoons with that Aquafix. took the overhead off Wester's house over on, what street is that? Day Street, I believe. Maintained the alley behind the Presbyterian Church, fixed potholes right over here on Main and Grossbeck, locates and meter re-reads.
What do you mean by maintain that street behind?
There's been some potholes in the
Oh,
alley.
gotcha.
I do have the new digger truck sitting outside if anybody wants to look at it. Also, we used to pay Turner, I'm not quite sure on the name, but it was a guy that'd come around once a year and work all our valves for us, and we got charged about $1,200 a year for him to do half of our valves, and he has since retired. So we are looking at getting a valve turner, which is this stuff here. Valve exerciser is called. Cost is right around $6,000. Primgar is willing to split it with us. We used to pay Turner $1,200 a year to do it, so I think splitting it with Primgar, and I mean, we could have it paid off in, you know, a couple of years or whatever, paying someone else to do it for us.
Is this the same one? Do we have two different ones? The US
I
thing,
made
blue
some-
book, and then the US.
There should be a Border States one, a US saws, and then a USA Blue Book
Okay.
one.
I didn't know, wanted to make sure they were the same.
They're all about the $6,000
Yeah.
range.
And I guess we'd like to just, we'd prefer going with the USA Blue Book. It's the 592588, and it uses Milwaukee batteries, which we have plenty of, so, you know, if we get the other one, I feel like the battery's just gonna be sitting there for 11 months out of the year, and then potentially probably go bad quicker than if it was used more often.
You still want to split it with Primgar?
I mean, we only really need it for a week or two out of the year,
And same with them.
so.
You talked to them about it?
Yep, Carol's on board with it.
Okay.
Yeah, about $2,500, about $3,000 each.
They got Milwaukee tools also.
Sure.
Good.
You know, that guy that used to do them, he retired and
No one took over
He's-
the business?
he hasn't found anybody to take over the business yet, so.
And it's okay in the budget?
We have money in the water department, or where would we?
Split it?
Water.
Water?
I mean, regardless, this year we would've spent $1,200 on Turner coming if he was still in business.
Right.
So that's another, and that's another, you know, another $1,800 is what our half would be to buy the equipment to do it ourselves.
Right.
Is there any point in the spare batteries? You could,
It's got two batteries, and we only have spare, we have batteries for our other tools too, though.
Yeah, and then the thing with the Milwaukee, if you have, you know, a battery that goes bad, they're easy to get. I mean, they're easy to get replaced.
Right?
You can buy them just about anywhere.
Well, I'll make the motion to get it and split it with Hunger.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lexi, second by Steve, to approve purchase of, shared purchase of the portable hydrant and gate valve exerciser from USA Blue Book. Any other questions for Kelly or discussion about that? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of purchasing the hydrant funding portable cordless hydrant gate valve exerciser from USA Blue Book, shared with Primgar. Say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All ayes, no nays. Permission to purchase.
Mr. Carpenter, you're up.
I'm Kevin Carpenter, I'm with Silver Smith Data, and we handle asset management and GPS mapping equipment. Silver Smith has been around for over 30 years. We started off in the gas and petroleum industry, and then as time went on, we developed a product called the Hydro Alert, which basically is a mechanism you put on the side of a hydrant, and it's basically a smart, makes it into a smart hydrant so you can see if there's any water leakage in a hydrant. And what had happened is the guy that was selling that was out and with a water superintendent, and one of the crew members came in and he goes, "Where's this at?" And he goes, "Look at my desk." Kelly could probably relate.
Yep.
And so Ray basically told him, says, "Well, if we could do this, this, and this, you know, would that be beneficial?" So they started off with hydrants, is where they started. From there, they've grown to over 200 assets. We have things in parks and rec. We have things in electrical. We have water very well covered, sanitary very well covered, streets is very well covered. We have code enforcement. The list goes on. It's just unbelievable how it's exploded for them. My background is I sold the Stanley handheld hydraulic tools and walked valve operators, pipe cutters, threaders in Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. And then I went into some accounting stuff. So I worked with municipals for about 17 years total. It was left in about 2013, came back last year when this job was offered to me. The reason I took this is because everything that I saw in it was what I saw back when I was calling on municipals. And Kelly talked about some of these things today, because the valve exercising, you can mark your terms and everything in it. You'll be able to run reports from it. Hydrants, the hydrant flushing program. I will show you a demo using the hydrants is in there. You can track the flushing while it's being done. You can also do a report for the DNR, and you can track your flows and pressures as well. You mentioned the new digger derrick. You also probably have an aerial, if I'm correct?
Yep.
Okay. Those require certain inspections over a certain period of time because those are insulated. Those type of reports can be put in and kept track of and then ran if needed. So, does anybody have any questions as far as where I'm going with it? If not, we'll jump on in and I'll show you first the equipment. Basically, you purchase a tablet and a geode marker. This allows you to go out and mark your assets wherever you're at.
Do you do that, or does like Kelly do that?
Kelly
will do that.
You?
The municipal would be responsible for doing that. I will come up and do the training. I will spend at least a day in training. So with this here, it's basically just a three-step process. Because when it was designed, the biggest thing people wanted was user-friendly. Okay? They heard that over and over and over. So basically you turn on the machine here. It will tell you when it's got a Bluetooth connection. That's how it communicates back and forth. Once you have that, you'll go to your geode. I can't bring it up because I'm inside, but it'll bring up the geo software. And over here, you want that under 10 feet. There's 9 different spaces here. Once that gets below the 10 foot, that's going to allow you to go out and get a fairly accurate reading. Then you just hit the finder, and you go to it, hold it over. Once the numbers settle down over here in the lower left or right corner, you just hit find, then you hit send, and we're web-based, so everything's live. At that point in time, once he saves it, you can see it right up here in the office or any other tablet, smartphone, wherever you're at. So that would be the marking part of it. So it's really unique from that side. It doesn't matter what you're marking. If we don't have it, we will be glad to add it. Our engineering and development people are free of charge. It's all, well, not free of charge, but it's all included in the package. So we don't have an additional $150, $300 if you call up and say, hey, this and this, and then they make out a PC ticket and add it for you. We don't have charges for that. You also will have direct communications. We have a chat button down here in the right lower corner, so you can chat with a customer service rep, or I will leave the phone numbers of the head engineer and also our customer service person, because some people don't like doing the chat, so we allow them to contact them. They're open 9 to 5 Eastern time. The other parts of the time, you can contact me if you have some questions. So that would be basically the base part of the software. If you watch on, jump on me. Okay. As you can see, our icons do represent what we're doing. And so I've got the hydrants pulled up here. Up here in the view, right here, we have different things that you can do from edit. Right here, you have a walk back and distance calculator, which means that once you've marked an asset, and up here in good old Iowa, we just get a few inches of snow now and then, right?
That was last year.
Yeah.
With that said, Kelly, how hard is it to find one of those shut-offs when you gotta go do a shut-off?
It's not very much fun.
Okay. With the walk back, this allows you, once you have it marked, you can get out of the truck and know where it's at. It'll help walk you back to it. Our system is rated at 3.9 feet. I was down Correctionville doing the walk back there with the gals, and we were within 6 inches. So it all depends on how much interference you have, because we're dealing with satellites. But with this system here, when you buy the equipment, there's no other cost. If you want to get to the closer to CMs, centimeters and stuff, those units, you have an annual subscription in order to get multiple functions. That's going to run you $1,700 to about $2,300 a year just for the subscription. So it gets rather expensive.
But you don't have that. You don't have that.
I have access to get it, because I do have some municipals that want it, but because of the cost and stuff, I can't say I've even sold it.
Have you sold this to any areas around here?
Yeah, I have Sioux City, I have Correctionville, I have Pearson, I have Ruthven, Ruthven, Terrell, Armstrong, Ringstead.
Nobody like those so much in this area or over there?
Well, they're over here and then straight south of me down by 20. I do have one north of Orange City, but I can't tell you the name of the town right
Sioux Center.
Rock Valley.
now.
Morris,
No, no.
what's the one?
Boynton,
You go, no, not Boyd, you go up 60.
Melvin, Sibley.
Sort of north. So,
Ashton.
thank you.
Good job.
Who is?
Ashton.
You're kidding.
No.
That's tinier than this. That surprises me.
Ruthven's tiny too.
Yeah, Rubin's only 100 meters.
Yeah. we can-
So
Yeah, true.
I have everything from basically up to 82,000.
Yeah, I suppose.
So we can map our hydrants, we can map shut-offs
Yep.
to houses.
Yep.
Um,
We can get into, not all of this is in here. With my background on the electrical as well as the water, I would work with like Kelly and James over at Whittemore, ones that got the electric system, because you have a 10-year inspection that you do on an annual rollover, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Every 10 years or so?
so we could put that 10-year inspection in, once I had the details, and they could do all that
Oh.
from here.
Oh,
And then they could run the report.
Yeah.
Remember looking at those maps and stuff, Steve? How much fun that was?
yes.
That was fun.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
When's the last one you did?
Huh?
How
We do
long?
one every year.
Oh, you do it every year,
We have to
okay.
do a section every year,
Oh, okay.
but every 10 years
Every
we
10
start
years you have
over.
to complete.
Oh, I see.
And every pole, and every transformer, every fuse holder.
So we can map all of that.
Every cutout, yes. So,
Everything would be on this.
and some of this isn't on here yet, but those are all things that can be added, okay? And that's
With
why,
additional fees or no?
no additional fees. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So, I got a question as
Yep.
fire chief. So can we mark our loops as far as water mains then? Because that's important for me, that I'm not,
We, those,
Pulling off at two
once they have their valves marked,
Yep.
so you know where your lines run, you can draft those all in,
okay,
and then you can put your loop in.
That would be good.
yeah, that makes a difference because of,
Yeah,
well,
or-
like when we had our downtown fire, we were trucking water in just because we about emptied the water tower on them. But yeah, we had two aerials, so we wanted to make sure we were pulling off different loops.
That'll show you that. And you could also take, the hydrants would go out of service. They can bring that up, put it out of service. You'll be able to bring it up and know what hydrant's out of service. So if you're in an isolated area and the hydrant's out of service, you gotta know that and you can prep for that before.
It's really fun picking up 5-inch hose after you drug it to a dead hydrant
I'll bet.
I bet.
at 400
It'll be
feet.
good to work with Kelly once it's all hooked up and
Yeah.
stuff.
This is all stuff when we're done, when we have it all done, that you can have access to.
Yeah, and this, another thing is, no extra cost, unlimited users, unlimited administration. You as the municipal figure out
That's a big deal.
who can do what basically with the system. You can have everything from reading to full administration. And you'll have one primary administrator.
Okay, we should probably still limit on
So
who uses it.
everybody will have a username and a password that has access to the system. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Let's start out here with the normal mode. I brought up just the hydrants. As you can see, there's different colors around the hydrant.
Is this us?
Huh?
Is this Paullina?
No.
Oh.
No,
okay,
I didn't
so.
go out and mark yours. so-
Oh, dang, okay.
Darn
You
it.
gotta have some dollars.
Have that done for us.
Yeah, come on, Lexi.
Doggone it. Green is good to go. Yellow, there's some type of service that needs to be done. Red is out of service. So you can just go to one, click on it. It's all done, as you can see the drop downs. I want to do a maintenance view. So I click on the maintenance view, it's going to bring me here, which is going to show me location, all kinds of different things up above. as I go down here, this here's an information page. You take notes. You can upload as many pictures as you want, some unlimited pictures. That's where this is going to come in. We can upload. Do you have handwritten maps and stuff on some of your stuff? Okay.
Do we have maps?
Are they falling apart?
Yes.
From like the 70s and 80s.
I'll bet.
So we could take a picture, you know, with the iPad or the tablet, phone, whatever, save the picture and bring it in here of that asset. Or of the picture that's got a, you know, 10 feet from the corner, 15 feet from the driveway for a shut-off valve, whatever. We could put that on here.
And you could take an actual photo of the hydrant itself right on the corner and upload that.
Yep, and that's going to show you a good reference point.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, that's what I do training, before I take them out, is take it from 2 different angles, so you have, you're referencing it that way as well.
Yeah. Good.
And as you go on down, here's where you're going to find out what's out of service, what's going on. If you pumped out the hydrant, if you flushed the hydrant, here's a calendar that you can set up for flushing, for your flushing programs. Do you do it twice a year or once a year?
Flushing hydrants?
Flushing
Just start, yeah, once a year.
once a year?
As of right now, we're probably gonna start doing twice.
Okay. Once a year, you just fill out your calendar if you want, and I tell you when you're gonna flush. Do it twice a year, again, you just bring up the calendar and do it there.
I bet you just can't push a button and it'll do
And
it.
it'll send you an alert when
And
it's,
send an alert,
Be too
it's gonna
easy.
keep sending you alerts when you do it.
yeah,
They go, well, they're just flushing all by themselves.
yeah.
We're doing this in the
And
town.
then we can come on down and we can get into our different parts of the hydrant, as far as the bonnet and everything. At the very bottom, you'll find your flows, your pressures, your gallons. And then at that point in time, you would just hit update, and you can see all that information. Another neat feature we have I can come over here. I should look at this because they changed it up. There we go. Hydrant's been flushed. They've categorized this now. It used to be just all of them would pull up, so this is kind of nice. You can just look for what category you want to go to. Hydrant's been flushed. You see how many of them are ghosted out there? Those have been flushed. The rest of them need to be done here. So
Nice.
you can follow it that way as well. So, let's go over here real quick. Here's where you're going to find your reports. The most common one you can use would be your dynamic reports, where you can select your history and do specific. So we're just going to come up here. You want to create a new report. Again, you can see it's very user-friendly, and you just go through it one zone at a time, bring up what you want. In this case here, we can pull up how many hydrants have been flushed. That's going to tell us all the hydrants have been flushed, the dates, if everything's time dated, when you do it. So it's all time stamped and everything.
Sounds good.
So, anybody have any questions yet at this time?
You ready, Kelly? ready?
And like I shared, then we can get into the office stuff. Nuisance properties is one of the things. Dog licensing, I don't know if we do dog licensing. Other ordinances that you might have can be uploaded into it and filled out by whoever you have, if you got code enforcer or whatever, can be done that way.
That's interesting.
So then you bring everything into one location. I'll open it up for questions.
How long will it take them to get their stuff, whether tablet or whatever?
I'm going to say if we still got the tablets in stock, 2 weeks.
Oh, that's not bad.
So it'll be a couple weeks, you can get them set up with the system.
Yep. Maybe sooner, because next week I'm going to be back up here at Okoboji, so
Oh,
if we have it and they get it to my house after the meeting at Okoboji, I could come down and I would still have a couple of days that would be free before I had to go. So it would be the soonest, the next time, the following week I'm pretty open, so. Right now, like I said, I have to check with them, make sure we still have the tablets, because we'll be getting them in 10 at a time.
so if they don't, say you don't have one in stock, how long, is it on back order, is it hard to get stuff, or?
They've been coming in about every 14 days.
Oh, that's not bad.
So I would say somewhere around the 1st of October,
Oh, perfect.
you know.
I think it sounds like a no-brainer.
Is there data input that the operators have to do to make that work, or is it just off the tablet? click of a
Basically
button
off the
and it's
tablet.
done?
Yep, everything is, once you do the worksheet part of it, okay, and you hit the update at the bottom, it's all saved, it's all there, it's available throughout the whole system.
And it communicates through the handheld to the tablet, your data,
That,
saves it
I
on.
can do it back here at the desk. If I want to edit something, you know, because it doesn't look like it's quite right, I can sit back here at the desk with a mouse and drop it in. I can put my water mains in, my sanitary in, all that by, you know, the visual part, and knowing where the valves are, where the collection boxes are, and so forth. And then we can put, like sanitary, you know, your lift stations, your catch basins, all that can be.
I think you're gonna play with that a long time.
And this is something, I know you said the fire department can use it too, but can they have it hooked up to their computer also?
Yeah.
Or do you have one main computer?
No, it's on the web.
Okay.
So basically, you're
Just pull it
gonna,
up.
They just need access.
yeah, as long as they can use a username and password, and, yeah, okay, you have those three things, you're set to go.
Got it.
And we're not eating up your memory
Okay.
within this, in the municipal, so
Wi-Fi.
none of that's being used.
Would we be able to track our equipment that we have?
Yeah.
Like all of our trucks and like our bigger truck
You,
and all those?
Like fire station, you put the station number in, and upload your equipment. Electric department, put your garage in, then you would fill out the equipment you want, and then the maintenance required. Same with your stuff, your inspections on your pumps and everything. And like I said, on the aerial, because it's done the way it is, you can do that, it's sent to Digger. The snow plow can be brought in, the dump trucks can be brought in.
You could take it as far as maintenance on trash pumps and generator and
Yep.
all that small equipment.
You can break it
also.
down to the small equipment. Whatever you have in that garage, you can put on there and set up the maintenance records the way you do your maintenance. And our people will be glad to help you with getting that done.
You mentioned dog licensing, how about like, unless we have an awesome way to do it now, ATV registrations, those little four-wheel.
Well, I know we just put golf carts in, so the answer is if we don't
Oh.
have ATV, we can get it.
Well, didn't they just pass a
Well,
law?
we don't
They-
charge anything, yeah. We don't take that away, we don't charge.
State took that away.
Oh, the state took that way? Never
Yeah.
mind. I was just thinking,
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah,
the way.
if we keep it organized, you know.
Yeah,
How
well,
about building permits?
What's the package?
Yeah.
I like this system.
We had a system very similar to, but we have a system very similar at the elevator to this. It was called CAMS, and I don't know what that acronym stands for. But we were able to go take pictures of all our equipment, the motors that ran, the augers, any of that grain equipment, we put serial numbers in, we put what the maintenance was to be on them. We had all that equipment, so we could just go into that system and look at that piece of equipment, knew all the information about it. That's very similar to this.
Cool.
So, okay, so the cost on this, what was the cost?
She's got it right now.
I just got it.
We already okayed it.
We
So
already okayed it.
3,100?
We already-
3,100?
No, that's just your,
Oh,
We already voted on it last month. Oh, last
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
This is just, he came to give a
yeah,
presentation.
that's right.
so you got upfront cost is $5,700. The annual cost, which includes unlimited minutes on the tablet, is $1,600 a year.
Okay.
So you would
So
have
on
this,
that maintenance
the
stuff,
5,700 would be for the first year only. The 1,600 is basically for us to host the web and get the minutes for you through AT&T or Verizon.
so does all the maintenance scheduling give a flag or signal or something, or do you have to know to go look at that?
What's that?
The maintenance stuff
You
that
can
you were
set it-
talking about, does that flag you or send a
You
signal?
can set it up so it's flagged on your schedule.
Okay, so you don't have to remember to go look,
No,
because otherwise it's like,
no,
Yeah,
that's,
why?
yeah, that's like a hydrant, okay? If you set it up on your schedule to be done, it's gonna keep ringing you in the ear until you do something. It takes an action, and then it has to be removed once you've taken the action. So you have to make sure you update it, so. So just because you did the action, if you don't update it,
there's still maintenance.
it's the check and balance part of it. Does anybody else have any questions? Well,
Never had it. And then this is our fee over here.
So we don't have to do anything.
on your hoses and stuff?
Was it here to show it to you?
Right.
On your hoses and stuff? I
Yeah,
like
that's right, we weren't here when it happened. So this is always also.
That's why I
Brutal, drag out 5,000 feet of hose.
right there. You know, only one sort of
And that's, I can agree with this.
I spent 7 years with Casper's one of those. Everyone that did that. Went through the training with the breach of the contract. Back in 1995.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Lincoln.
Actually do it. Say okay.
Iowa started.
Yep.
One is
So,
city, one is.
all right, let's move along.
The third was supposed to be done. But you want to go out.
Well, I do. I'm gonna change the word. You talked to Randy about staying on what she.
He said,
No, we're not going to have 3 teams going.
Is that?
he said, when anything gets gold, I'm done.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what Brian.
So that's what they ended up with as far as I know.
Because otherwise, so you think this month then, or what? Because otherwise they said October 1st, we gotta start with
So
it.
two chiefs I worked with directly on the airport.
So we done, okay. Sounds good, just so we know. But, I know, but I still
That's what
want to have a talk.
Well, that, of course,
No, because I asked.
His friend, she's fire chief.
But, oh, this way around.
So we don't have to take any action.
No, you do not have to take action. If you guys want to coordinate some answers later, that would be great. We appreciate the information and the show and tell. That was helpful to see
Yeah, that was
that.
great. Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing all of it with our data in there and seeing what fancy new reports you can run and show off for us. So thank you for the information. We'll let you feel free to pack up and go so you don't have to stay for the rest of our
Okay,
meeting if you don't need
appreciate
to.
that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Very much.
Got any other questions? Don't hesitate to give me a jingle.
Yeah, I think we got your number in here.
Well, I'll make sure you all have one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
I just got a couple of
I got
you.
a few,
We got a few.
You got one,
pass out.
I got two, I think.
I'm good. I'll let Kelly handle it.
All right,
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Kevin.
Kevin.
thank you.
Okay, and Kelly already said he has the truck outside. We won't go out to look at it now. You can admire that beauty after the meeting. It's been requested that we move up our meeting actual business there a little bit so that we can get Lynn back on the road as well. Is that okay? Yes,
I
sorry.
appreciate that, thank
Because
you.
we do still have another airport one, and that could also go a little longer. Is that okay, Brian? We're gonna hang in there?
Okay.
So if we could move that up and we could go to, we tabled item 10, so it puts us at item 11, the final reading for approving the ordinance to allow Black Hills Energy to collect a 1% franchise fee for the city of Paullina. This is our official final reading. It has been in your packet for a while. It's the same. To have this, if this is our final reading, as we said, it now impacts the revenue purpose statement is part of that approval. We've gone through first and second readings. This is our third and final.
Approve the third reading, third and final reading of the Black Hills Energy Collections.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Greg, and a second by Jean. Call for a roll call vote.
Papers, yeah, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, Steve?
Yep.
Carol?
Yes?
Jay?
Yes.
Lexi?
Yeah.
And Jean?
Yes.
So reported as all ayes, no nays, no absent, and no abstains. So that ordinance is approved. Final reading, third and final reading.
And then did you approve the revenue purpose statement?
Correct, that was approved at our last
meeting, okay.
public hearing.
Okay, thank you. I'll get that going, and I've given you.
Yeah, you sent
what need
everything
to
off.
get to me.
Yep, I got everything, so.
So it'll take 2 to 3 months, depending on how quickly we can get a couple things done.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, and we might as well take out number 12 as well, where we're right here, with the separate sheet of paper with your.
Can we do this training together, or do we all have to do it separately?
If we do it, we'll do it together as an open meeting, and it'll be like a call to meeting. I don't know if it'll have to be a separate meeting, it might, like a workshop, but it'll still have to be an official all together so that we maximize your time.
Where are these people, from Des Moines then, or where?
Yes.
That bring it, that do it?
Would they come here, or do we have to go there?
May Zoom.
No, it's via Zoom.
That's typically how they've done it, I think, in the past, so
Yep.
Tish is looking to see if that's what they will do for
Yep,
us.
they're done.
Get that figured out.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna have a motion to approve the informal resolution, 22FC:0050.
I'll make a motion to approve the informal resolution 22FC:0050.
Okay, Carolyn's approved, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Virginia has seconded. Any further questions?
So the reason I guess I'm just a little confused. So the reason we have to do this is because we didn't get the information to her in time, correct?
This is from the original request of the video. She didn't, the complaint was regarding the fee for the video, which is, talks about right there, from May 26th. So this is back to that original.
Which took how many hours?
City mayor stated that it was for 2 hours of the clerk's time at $30 per hour.
I thought it took actually longer than that, though,
Oh,
because you had
That
Jamie
one-
come in, he had to get it all
That
set
was
up.
actual but not reasonable, so that's where we ran into a miscommunication between what was wanted, or desired versus what was happened in this case, because it was the first one ever requested, and no one had a clue on how to do that. So now we know, so now future, it should be a reasonable 2 hours of time.
Quicker. Faster.
But we will have to create a whole policy regarding all of them, because nothing has, there's no existing policy on how we handle any of this, so
Okay.
it's best to state that and have it all agreed upon. So they will help us
Set that all
create
up
that
too.
and make sure that is as allowed, reasonable, and actual cost for examination and/or copying of a public record.
Yeah, it's in all that, in that Iowa Code, Chapter 22, 21 and 22, it's all in there. So I'm sure they'll train us on that.
Yep, just what we wanted to know.
And this
If you
obviously all
haven't
ties
read-
into the other request with
Well, if you haven't read that, I
emails and
gave that.
texts and.
You gave it to me.
I gave that Chapter 21 and 22 to most of you.
I don't know who y'all gave it to, but I know I had it.
I got it.
It was boring. Say the least.
Most of it is,
Yep.
but regardless.
And it's gonna be the same way with this.
Regardless, it's still,
Out of the city.
we have to follow that.
So within the 90 days, we need to adopt the records release policy with their, which, who wants to, what category of committee do we want to put that under? It doesn't really particularly apply to any of our established committees.
And it just be
We
for
take
the city.
volunteers, we could,
Well,
Committee
Isn't
to
that
do
kind of-
what? The committee to do what?
to create the records release policy.
Oh.
Isn't that somewhere?
Because that's what it says on the piece of paper we have to do, Mary.
What?
Yeah.
It says on the piece of paper we have to do that.
Yeah, but do we need a
Form a
committee?
committee?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see
it
that.
doesn't say that.
So it doesn't fall under the city clerk?
It does, it does fall under the clerk. You'd have to look at the ordinance, but it says the clerk takes care of the records.
I remember the city council.
Um,
The city clerk takes care of the records and
I-
the agenda.
I'm
and
paraphrasing, but I can't find it right offhand.
It says
So
here,
like-
the city
So it is fine
shall
if the
adopt
city
the
clerk
records
does
review
it.
policy.
And it is in
fees
the
to be
ordinance.
charged to fulfill record requests. And we have to give a copy to the IB.
Chapter 4 of the ordinance, it's in there.
It might be in the duties, the bigger
Yeah.
list.
Power of duties. it says there is record disbursements. It said that the clerk shall keep an accurate account of all disbursements, money and property, specifying date within whom funds are paid. Custody of records. The clerk shall have custody of all records and documents pertaining to the municipality unless otherwise directed by law or ordinance. And file and record transactions, I'm just paraphrasing. Destroy old records, furnish copies, and certified measures. So it's in the ordinance in chapter 4.
So that, by the way, that statement that you, part of that statement you read was pertaining to what Carol from Primgar had asked about Janine not taking records from the property unless allowed by law. So that was what she was referring to, but
That's what she, yeah.
Correct.
so if you would, Scott, that is on, so that is the clerk's duty, that he will develop a records release policy
Add it
to
up.
be approved within the next 90 days. And then all of us will get our training in before the next 90 days as well. And then this is the 5th step to approve the informal resolution in public and open meeting.
Okay.
So I need a motion. No, we did have that, Carol and Jean, sorry, we
Yep.
have that. Now, I need to call, if any other discussion or questions? Okay, I'm calling for a vote. All in favor of approving this informal resolution 22 FC: 0050 between Mary and the city, Mary Radke and the city of Paullina. All ayes, say aye if you're in favor.
We don't have to have a roll call.
I don't think we have to roll call.
Okay. Sounds good.
Ayes, any nays, say nay. All opposed, say nay, I should say. That was all ayes. Motion carried. Approved the terms of this informal resolution. Thank you. Okay, going back to our order where we were. After you are done. Mostly. Okay. Anything from police department? Brad?
Sorry, I'm listening to my radio.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have anything you need to report?
I guess the only thing is, we're getting a lot of complaints about speed on Maple Street, so contact the sheriff's office, got the radar card out there, and it's seemed to help quite a bit. I've noticed it, I've had people in the public tell me too, so. That's really the only.
I know they're getting past the sign and then they're speeding up again.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Does that-
I've sat there and seen that it's helped.
Does that give tickets or
Even
no?
on.
Does that give tickets or no?
No.
No.
Just it
We're
makes
not
you
as
aware of
fancy
your
as the city.
speed.
I'm just curious.
Why, how many did you have coming, or what?
I haven't gone that way.
She's going
Into the bail.
I am avoiding Maple. It's not down where I live. I don't usually go that way, so.
Yeah, no, we decided to push for northbound traffic, just because that's the one that's the least notification. And
Right.
that's where a lot of semis come from.
And you have there must be a top limit on it because it won't record 70.
Well,
You know that,
well,
Steve?
geez. Let's check it out. I think I can go to 99. I think it's got digits.
Let's see how fast we can get it to go.
Practice that. Do not issue that challenge to Lexi.
We'll let him do
That's
that.
not at all
Yeah.
like a thing of a challenge to make that happen.
Oh.
No high scores.
Oh, shoot.
I was gonna say, they do it for you though.
That's the only thing I have. Other than that, business
Okay.
as usual.
How long is that gonna be there?
I don't know, just when they're.
Oh,
it's
they just come
It's not
together.
like a scheduled thing.
Oh,
just
gotcha.
have somebody else say, hey, we would like to hear that whoever, needs it or wants it, we'll do that. I know they had it in Sutherland for a while, I had in Calumet for a little bit, and then I called them. Hey, it's in the county, they.
Yeah.
Right.
Has it been Gaza?
I don't know if it's been the game, I should ask. But, nope, that's it.
Excellent.
Hey.
Ryan, anything to add?
Yeah, our new truck is on the downhill side. So yeah, I'm anticipating seeing it this month, so I'm here to request that we send the payment off for the truck. I just saw tonight another truck that was in production with ours is ready for final inspection in Des Moines, so we need to get that payment sent off ASAP so we don't have any delay in
Oh, so
delivery.
you want to pay it before you actually get it?
No, there's no I want, we have to.
There, that is a definite? I didn't know that.
Yes, that is part of the contract,
Oh, that
that we
we
have to pay minimum 10 days prior to delivery in full.
Okay.
Cause they ship it here, or do they drive it here?
No, it will go on a flatbed and be hauled to Des Moines.
And then you go pick it up
And then
there?
we'll go down for final inspection and delivery.
So you're gonna do that in 2 weeks when people are down there?
I don't know.
Oh.
So you let them know, give them the price and let them know.
Yeah, I believe Whitney has the invoice. So that can get sent off and it has all the instructions on.
This would be the final payment,
Yes, this is
The one and only,
one and only.
the payment.
the payment.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to submit the payment for the fire truck.
I'll second.
That was spicy.
Yes.
What is the total amount, Whitney?
$248,102.
Okay,
You said $248 and 102.
248,000.
1,102, sorry.
We'll buy two of them at that price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we've had a motion to approve payment and second. Do we have any discussion or questions? Let's call for a vote. All in favor of approving that payment of that check for the final and only payment of the truck, fire truck, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed,
Finally.
say nay.
Yeah.
So she also, the total amount of the city park's 248, I will enclose a check for the fire department portion. We're having them letter it and everything, so when it gets here, it's
Done.
Ready to
done.
roll?
Sounds good.
So, so yeah, I didn't know it was gonna take 4 to 6 months for a radio, else I probably would have ordered it a little sooner. So yeah. So yeah, the only other thing that I have as far as the fire department, I've been talking briefly with Carol and Jean about bringing our ordinance up to date for the fire department, because right now we have no ordinance for being able to bill for fire calls. And we have no hazmat ordinance that would cover us for billing if we had a hazmat incident. And that, the hazmat thing's pretty big. I mean, use the elevator, for example, if they would have a hazmat event and Sioux City gets called, Sioux City, from the point Sioux City gets called, where Sioux City will be billing the elevator for their part. But any cost incurred prior to that, as of now, since we have no ordinance, we have no legal binding to bill for that. So,
No, we've never had, even before you were fire chief.
yeah,
Okay.
we've never, and unless you have it in ordinance,
Mhm.
we have no legal right to stand on.
Sure.
Because I've billed for 2 hazmat incidents now, which were fuel spills. And I kind of put it as, you know, this is a suggestion bill, not saying, left the whole ordinance part out, and so far I've had to eat almost $200 in supplies because I have no ordinance to.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
on
I
that.
already have ordinances printed off from, so I looked at pretty much all the Bryan County departments in Orange City and Alton. And all their ordinance books are almost like they copied and pasted through every
Can you
city.
like give us a copy maybe
Yeah,
at
so
next meeting
I'll
or
present
something?
that the next meeting.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And
Put
that,
that on
so,
our agenda.
Sounds good.
Make sure.
yeah.
And what was the other thing you want?
I do have a
else?
question.
Wasn't there something else updated besides the hazmat?
Well, the hazmat and then part of the fire department ordinance would be, so the hazmat would be its own separate ordinance.
Right.
Then the fire department, we have to put an ordinance for right to bill.
Oh, okay.
Because right now, we present a bill now and the insurance companies will cover Everybody with their homeowner's insurance has a clause in there that will pay the fire department a certain amount of money.
Okay.
So,
You have samples of those too?
yeah, I'll present that all next meeting.
Okay.
I'll make sure
Right,
Whitney has it ahead of time so it can be put in the packets. So,
yeah, sounds good.
And then we'll have to create our own off of that,
yeah, well,
or
Probably just look
Where
at
you
it and
going?
change our name.
you can go online and highlight, copy, paste, and,
yeah,
Right,
because I mean, literally, so from kind of what I saw from these other cities, there's a company that has all these ordinances, and it's almost page for page the same as some of these other towns, so.
I see.
So yeah, that's it.
That'll
for-
simplify it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll get all that information to Whitney so it can be put in the packets and up front, so you guys have time to look over it.
I have a question. I think it was back in March when we went into a closed session about a property. Do we need to go back into a closed session for something like that? Are we ready to make like a decent, I just feel like it's been,
I've heard no update from anything
no,
on that. So
I think that needs to be on the
it's
next
become
meeting.
critical that we get that taken care of because it's now September 6th. Brian Feltman, I talked to Brian Feltman before the meeting. He has a contractor coming Thursday to dig footings. So,
So that would be something we need to probably put on the agenda.
well, I think we've been kind of waiting for our attorney. So, to give us some go-ahead on some of that until we hear. That's what we've been kind of waiting for.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's giving
I
a
think we need
big,
to push her.
Let's get working on that.
it's giving the fire department a black eye because
Yeah.
I was trying to announce our property for our July golf outing and now
Right.
we're September and I still have nothing. And I have people coming to me with all these questions and
You don't wanna
I have zero answers and I'm trying to be nice about it, but I mean, I don't know who to place the blame on because here we are, September 6th, and I have zero answers. And it was June when we had our
Oh,
last
June.
discussion.
I thought it was like March.
Well. we've
Felt
been
like that,
talking-
right.
We've been talking for a long time, but
Yeah.
June was, so, yeah. I don't mind dodging bullets and taking one for certain, but yeah, this is getting painful,
Yeah.
so.
Can we move Tish along on that?
Is it Tish or is it Thor?
It's a combination, but I
That's what I thought.
Okay.
don't know how to do that.
The only other thing was the discussion on the ambulance, where we stand on
Have
that.
you talked to them?
Who?
The ambulance, has anybody talked?
Yes,
No, we-
Okay.
yeah, Carol and Jean and I met with the ambulance.
Okay.
And there's some more, it's listed as an ambulance report, but I think Carol has some information on what we talked about.
Well, I was gonna one of the things is the payment, and the ambulance wants to know what they're expected to pay, because we were gonna sell the old ambulance, now we're not, because the fire department's gonna make use of it. The city paid for everything, but they had said at the beginning they would pay something on it, so I don't know, I guess we gotta find out what you guys want them to pay. The lift cot was around, I think, 37,000, right around that, something like that. If that would be sufficient and we cover the ambulance, or if you want to total it and split it, or what you feel. They had talked about doing like 50, but that's when we were looking at 125,000 for the ambulance. So we're not looking at that anymore, because we got that for 85. So they just want us to let them know what we think, and I said we'd bring it up to the council and you guys, so they,
And you said the cot was 37,000, something like that?
right around 37,
Yeah,
it's
something
close to
like
that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the ambulance was 85. And I said, you know, it makes, I guess we have to decide it. If we wanna do,
Well, I feel like if the ambulance, I mean, not the ambulance, the fire department can use the ambulance, then we might as well, I feel like we need to keep it.
right,
Yeah.
and he's already
I mean,
using it,
yeah,
and he
right.
got it all stocked, so that's done.
So I guess maybe if
We just have to decide how much.
We wanna ask them to pay for the two new things.
So the ambulance cost us 85, correct? Something like that.
85,
85,000 from Greenville.
yep.
I mean,
And the cot was, the power lift cot was like 37.
$37,210.
210? Okay, 37,210.
And the 650 was for the install.
So I kinda thought maybe if they paid for that,
I
then
mean, I
the
feel like
whole,
if they pay for the cot, that would be.
yes, if they pay for the whole cot, which would be the 37 plus the 650, you said?
Well, no,
210.
37,210 is the entire amount. 650 of that was to install.
Oh, so that, not added on,
That's
it's in
right.
it.
So it's 36 something for just the cot.
Yeah, but 37,210 included the 650.
Yes.
Okay. So, because then if they've got some other things that they want to get or whatever, I said then maybe instead of coming to the council for it,
They can
you
pay
guys
for it.
cover it. And they sounded willing to do that.
Pay for the cot.
So if
I
we
mean, I
pay
feel
for
like
that-
that's a good trade.
I
Like,
do too.
I
I think
do
if we
too.
cover the ambulance, plus they've got a decent vehicle to use now, and
And you
I
have
think
two
we got
trucks to
everybody
auction.
pretty well happy.
Are you putting that into service anyway soon?
Well, I need this answer before we
Oh,
touch it,
okay.
so,
That's a good thing.
yeah.
So, yeah, as soon as we say what we're doing,
I think that the ambulance should pay for the
Right.
power cot.
I do
think-
too.
I will
think
make the
that's-
emotion that the ambulance pays 37,210 for the cot.
And then if they got any other little
Yeah.
dealies they want, they can cover that with. So,
Just to add to the end of yours, meaning the city pays
For the city.
remainder of
the
that.
city pays the ambulance.
All right, we've heard that motion from Lexi. To have the ambulance responsible for the 37,210 for the cot itself, and the city paying the remaining balance of that for the ambulance. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Carol. Any other questions for Carol or Jean, Brian for that matter? Since we're sort of involved.
Will you put like information on like the plan or whatever?
And fire department.
Yeah. We gotta get through this step, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had to get through this step so I can present it to the fire department because I need a solid answer to present it to them.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
we have twice as many, or 3 times as many people to be wishy-washy about everything, so I want a
Right.
solid.
Yeah.
Trust me, we can talk about t-shirts for 6 months. I want something, this is, present them with, this is what it's gonna cost us, so.
Yep.
Okay, so we've had the motion by Lexi and second by Carol to approve that payment for the ambulance, the cot, the ambulance to pay for the cot. And the city paid for the ambulance. Do I hear any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay.
Do we have to formally transfer the ambulance to the fire department?
It's all city.
It's all
I don't
city.
think the funds-
It's all city.
Okay, well,
Hopefully the funds are in
Yeah.
the right spot, but that's about understood. Should we have a question on that? Yeah. All right, so that was all ayes. Motion carries to have the ambulance responsible for the power cut.
Okay.
And you can inform them of that if someone will
Okay.
take that good news to them.
Yep, I'm really happy.
Did you have anything more to add about that? Then do you need another step to
No.
say
No.
we're good now?
Yeah, so yeah, next Monday we'll go through our tidbit and get things going, and then I'll be in contact with Kelly about getting the 2 trucks ready for auction.
Okay.
Awesome.
And because you're selling which two, I'm sorry?
So the ambulance now will become
The chief?
the chief's slash
command center.
command center.
Okay.
And then the 91 is being replaced by the new truck. So we'll have 2 vehicles ready
Keep the
for,
bread wagon.
and,
Oh, yeah, the bread wagon.
and,
Bread wagon.
the rescue van, our storage unit on wheels that's been sitting by the water tower for many years. Yeah, it runs,
Party bus.
has 6 brand new tires on it.
Oh,
There you do have a party bus.
party bus.
GM.
Huh?
It's a GM or is it a Ford?
It's a GM.
There we go, Carol.
Yeah, there we go.
There was some.
But
Okay.
Well, we told him we'd go to Des Moines, and he doesn't jump on that.
I gotta give you a date first.
I knew, yeah, that is true. We probably, otherwise, who knows when we go.
I'm hounding them because it's like, my job takes a little bit to control.
Yep.
Next.
Okay, next, is there, we do have airport, Brian's been waiting a long time, do we want to
Yes.
jump to airport?
Yep.
I think that's a good idea.
Let Brian make his report.
Well, I don't know what an airport report is, but Ag States paid or flew on 71,000 acres of spray, and I talked to Matt Rickey, the location manager, and he said they forwarded an email to corporate, and they're supposed to be sending a check.
Okay.
That's at that 35 cents, correct?
Yes.
I hope so.
Is that the going rate, do you know, usually?
That's
Is
our
that the
going rate.
That's our
Huh?
going rate
That's
right
our
now.
going rate.
But what is the going rate? Tell me that.
There.
Is it higher usually? Is it lower? Where is it?
I
I could ask Mike.
Yeah, for what?
For spraying. Isn't that what we're charging them for?
to use the airport.
To use the airport, yeah.
That's
So-
our rate. I mean,
Yes.
when you say going rate, are you talking about Lamar's airport and or
I'm just wondering,
Cherokee
yeah.
Airport?
Because they're probably charging, what, 21 bucks an
Sheldon?
acre?
Oh, no idea, because they could all charge different ways even.
So they're getting by pretty cheap at ours.
I would say so.
Because they don't have to buy fuel, they're getting they're bringing their own fuel.
And I mean, to kind of help with, your question a little bit, that's something that maybe we want to review again and then make a small increase on that
Okay.
for next year, next
Next
season.
fall, yep.
But I think we could easily make an increase as long as we don't get greedy.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just don't think we should let everything sit and never change it.
Did we get,
We just changed it.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, we
changed
just
it.
So it was 25 cents.
Yeah.
Oh, I
We
didn't
just
remember
changed it
that.
to
Yeah, it was
35 cents.
25.
It was
Okay, I didn't
25
remember
and we
that.
increased it to 30, and then I think this next season we could probably increase it again.
did we ever get, I think we got the contract from like those, it was at Lamar's people or whoever flew in when Steve and I had to go out there?
Yeah, I guess I gave them a contract and then you.
They signed it.
You and Steve showed up. Well, the guy from Lamar signed that paper and then you
And
said
then
you were
we- yep.
emailing it to the other outfit and he said, well, he'd signed that one and I didn't see the contract again.
And I think they got the information, so did we ever get anything back from them?
Wine's got an email back.
Okay.
Yeah, with the insurance, yeah, we asked about the insurance coverage and everything.
Mhm. And then they're gonna pay the 35
So-
cents an acre for.
They said it was 35 cents an acre,
Yep.
and that's the last
Do you
I've
know,
heard.
and you don't know how many acres they did?
No, not until Brian just mentioned this.
Well, that's actually.
This is
Egg
a state, this is two different
Okay.
companies.
Yeah, no, nothing
No.
else
Okay.
has been sent since.
So maybe you want to look into that
Right.
contract that. There was, to avoid some confusion, Ag State flies spray planes out of there. They have a contract and they signed the agreement. And then what happened is there was another company spraying out of Lamar's, I believe,
And they got
and they were not able
Sioux Center,
to.
no, they came from Sioux Center, but they were out of
Well,
Lamar, something like that.
Yeah, and they were not able to use that runway, so they came over to Paulina's runway because they had to get their spraying done. And then they had us do a contract.
Yep.
So they agreed, Brian brought the contract out, they agreed, and that was that email that you got, Scott, from that company. So we'll just have to find out from that company
How many acres they did.
how many acres they did,
And then,
find out if they want us to submit them a bill, or
are they gonna,
if they're just gonna send a payment. Clear as mud?
Yep,
Yeah.
clear.
Anything else for your part, Brian? That's too good.
Oh, yeah, it's been kind of slow out there. I did get the window back up in place so birds and the snow can't come and go.
Good.
And I've been replacing runway lights with a new style of base so the deer can't chew on the wires. Got 10 of them done this year, and I think this has been a multi-year project, and I'm over 3/4 done now. So.
That window, is that something that, I don't know, is it gonna hang in there throughout the winter? Or maybe something that we could take out and get boarded up temporarily until we can decide what to do with the
I
whole
was
thing?
wondering how I was gonna get that heavy piece of glass up in there without breaking it, and I wound up building jigs for both sides that screwed into the walls and hooked under the glass and a ready bolt. And I was able to turn it up a little bit at a time on each side, and I think until the wood rots,
Yeah,
well, it'll be several years that will hold, but I plan on trying to get a new sill underneath the glass.
okay.
I think the north side rots worse because there's no sun there, it doesn't dry out.
Right. Well, I don't know if you know, but there's been discussion of doing something with a new building out there. So yeah, we haven't quite decided what we're gonna do or what route we're gonna go, but there's been discussion on that anyway.
Yeah, I knew that. I
Okay.
guess I would have been more aggressive fixing this building if I hadn't known that. So.
Okay, good.
Well, and I wonder if we can look into some type of a grant too for the, to do a new terminal. I would think there would be, to help with, if we want to look at a updating or new or whatever.
There would be, and it just depends on what we wanna do.
Right, so we have to get that straight.
If we get a grant, yeah, it just depends on what we wanna do. We have to decide what route we wanna go.
If you get a grant, why, you probably have to build a more higher priced building than.
I'm sure, there'd be minimums.
I guess that's what I was gonna say. If we got a grant, then we would have to follow the guidelines of somebody else telling us what
How to
type
do
of
it.
building and what we have to have there.
Yep,
I still like the idea we had.
Yeah, if we did it without,
which was what? What?
The Airbnb.
Oh,
Well, I had an offer this morning of, Marty Gisem offered us a grain bin if we wanted to convert that.
I knew
yeah,
there was another one
It's a
south of
bin
town, or
or-
north of town that was wasn't it $100
The sale
or
of the
that?
bin and proceeds thereof.
yeah,
But it's probably pretty bad.
that'd be all right, but that's quite a conversion. I mean,
Yeah,
it
that's
can
kind
get
of
quite-
what I thought. that-
Basically, you're just getting the shell.
Right.
of
And
a
I
building.
thought,
Still gotta do the
you know,
inside.
even if we put up a pole building and insulated it, it might be cheaper than the conversion on a bin.
Right,
Could be.
yep. Yep.
Would his bin be like small, like,
It's a 27-foot.
I mean, is that smaller than?
About what the size that building is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
the building is, what, 26 by 28,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
which,
I was gonna say, we
For
could always
starters,
contact
that's about the
Primgar
right
because they
size.
redid a bin, but that bin is huge, so that would be way out of our league.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I've never seen the ones at Dog Creek. They say there's a couple big ones out there too.
You
yeah,
know-
Nick and Ed's office up there is a really
Yeah.
big bin.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think that's a 40.
Nick and Ed and.
Mhm. That's what the one I was talking about, that we
Oh.
could see how much it was to redo that one, but that is the 10 times bigger
Yeah, they did the
grain
whole
bin
office.
than we would ever
Right.
have.
And I don't know what the one at the golf course is, how big that one is. In Primgar.
Oh, Bill's cabin.
It's probably be about the size they would be.
It's pretty good size, 'cause it's got the upstairs and everything.
But that would probably be about the size that Marty would give
Yeah,
us.
that's probably about
And-
similar.
And
His was
really,
like-
if you think about it, excuse me, go ahead.
It was 9,000 bushels, so 20 feet high, so it could take a second story. But it concerns me if we put that where this building is, I'd have to research the runway clearance rules to see if that would be too tall for that.
Oh, them coming in.
Now, the state rules say nothing about that. The only thing, I think airport buildings are excluded from some of the obstruction requirements.
If we would find a small building, I mean, yeah, I'm talking, let's say a
28
big
by-
storage shed.
26 by 28.
Okay, but
Fit right
I'm
on the
thinking, can
foundation.
you move a building in there and possibly leave one of the bathrooms that's there as to be the existing bathroom or not?
Well, if we.
And the heating part of it.
There's no heat out there.
Plumbing.
Well, we have a furnace.
There's a furnace out there.
Does it work?
Yeah, but we don't use it except, well, I put baseboard heat in one bathroom and put heat tapes down below. And years ago, the city was a little upset about all the fuel taking it, trying to keep that building above
Right.
freezing with no insulation and lots of glass. So we have one place for people to find comfort. And we can turn the furnace on if necessary, but it's only got a 10-gallon fuel tank on it anymore, so. But that's lasted us for 3-4 years now.
We gotta do something.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it would be easier to start over with the bathroom, but,
Yeah.
and putting it on the existing foundation that, I guess that wasn't a new building when it got put there 50 years ago. But
Because the bathroom,
the water table is so high out there that all the joists are rotting from below because there's times that the water is that far below the joists. Well,
because it's well out there, right? Or
Well,
subject, which one is it?
there's a spring close by on the south end of the runway. We had to tile it out one year because we had to close the airport for a while. But the runway was like a swimming pool tarp. You'd step on it in one place and it'd rise up.
Nice.
Yeah, after we tiled it, we not had that problem.
Indoor pool, huh?
A Maui mat.
So, you know, if we could find a way to get rid of the water, that would sure help. I think the water table there is high above the lake.
Okay.
So if possible, we could tile it
Into
there.
Well, it's something we have to
Think about it.
think about.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
So for the winter, I mean, you have it secured for the winter.
yeah, I'll be
Somewhat.
shutting down one of the bathrooms when it gets close to freezing and draining pipes there.
Okay.
If I can still fit through the hatch to the Carlson. It's gotten a lot smaller over the years.
Yeah, wonder
It
why.
shrinks, that water made it shrink.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions for Brian at this point? I know we need to, thought it was good to get him here so we can get him part of the conversation. We had a few chats about it. We know we need to update get things a little more presentable out there, more functional, so we'll see what we can do over winter here so we can get a better season.
There's some more questions.
Let us know if you need something.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, and thanks to the city crew for cleaning up the tree that fell out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big tree.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep, see you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, anything else here out of our committees that want to make comments about any of these statements? Otherwise, we can certainly, we know they're in progress. They're not ready for presentation, I don't think, yet.
I do have a question. So, did you get my text message to send that nuisance letter out back
Yeah.
last week? Did you get that?
No, I haven't. I was gonna stop down there and,
Take some pictures?
well, I've taken some pictures.
Okay.
But I was just thinking about, instead of a letter, maybe just a visit, kind of like what Jay did last week with one of the other properties we had.
Okay,
And maybe speak to them first,
okay.
give them 5-7 days if nothing happens, and then go with the letter at that point.
Okay.
That's good.
Oh.
Look at these, I emailed
that list
I got
also.
a couple questions.
But I don't know if you got their email might gone into your spam.
Okay, no, I got
So they might
it.
do
I
that.
know this one's been mowed.
Okay, yep.
I'll have to look at that
That
one.
one's done.
Okay. Yeah, that one's done.
Oh, that's, the one garage.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, the rest of those are probably done then.
Yeah, a couple of these are, so,
Okay.
yeah, I'll take a look at them. so.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I just didn't hear back from you, so that's why I'm like, I didn't know if you got it or not.
Okay, so nuisances, and I know building permits has something
Yep.
to mention, to address for later today.
Yeah, just got here for Charles Bailey for a fence, and I know Gene looked this one over. Another one here on North Main, which I know Gene looked at that one also. This one just came in this morning for a new driveway. They're gonna tear out the old driveway and then fill it back with new concrete. We'll need a signature on that one. Out at Agrivision, they're putting an addition on out there to their existing building. Another one on Main Street here. Moving a utility shed in, a 7-by-7 foot shed. It's actually gonna be placed on the inside. He's got a fence around his backyard, or their backyard. And then the building will be placed inside the fence there. And then we come up with, got a couple here for Double F Enterprises. Tried to call the variance folks this afternoon, but it was after 4 o'clock, the office was closed. But the one he has here on his South Cannon property, behind Goshen's pole barn back there. Thanks.
Concert.
Yeah, Quonset, yeah. And he wants to move a building in, wants to line up the new garage, or I should say, the one he moves in, he wants to line it up with the garage that's sitting in the backyard already. And that's like 18 inches from the property line. He did mention he spoke with neighbors and the new person, that the current owner and the one that's buying the property, and they were both fine with it. Haven't signed anything or anything, but he just mentioned.
Neighbors. Don't we still have to have those rules that we go by?
Yeah, that's gonna have to go to the zoning board.
Yeah, you guys, yeah.
That'll have to go to the zoning board.
Yeah,
Because 18 inches is not,
no, it's gotta be what, 7 feet?
Yeah,
no.
our committee can't approve that, that has to go to the
It's just
zoning
because you have an existing building there.
That one was probably grandfathered in.
Right.
So then they,
Okay.
yeah, so then they just.
but now that's all changed.
So you'll have to make a note of that, that you'll have to, if he
So
wants
the
that
zoning
permit,
I don't know
you'll
how much
have
we
to,
could buy, now he's open on that building, so what's,
you'll
that's
have
gonna
to,
go on his property then. He's hooking into that one behind Goshen's?
No, it'll be to the south. It'll be to the south.
Okay.
So it'd be between
It'll be,
John's house.
right.
John Hahn?
No,
Oh, John,
John
sorry.
Healy
So anyway.
and the Goshen 2 building,
Yep.
oh,
where he parks his trailers.
Oh.
That's where.
yeah, so they'll have to decide what that's, how that's zoned, if it's general industrial or commercial or residential.
That one's residential.
That one's residential, okay. So that would follow the residential zoning rules. So you'll have to look in your zoning ordinance.
And that's 7 feet. That's 7 feet
Yeah,
from the
it's
property line.
from the property line.
And if he wants a variance, then that has to go
It has to go
to
to the planning zoning commission.
zoning.
And then they bring it,
And then they bring it to us.
If they don't approve it,
Right.
then
He has to bring it to us.
he can come to us and have us either approve it
Right.
or not.
So are you two still approving building and zoning permits, or is Scott on his way to do it, no.
We're still doing
We
it,
still are.
but Scott's.
But Scott's
doing
helping.
So it's-
Scott's.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Pretty
you
soon,
should,
we don't wanna just drop them on it.
Right.
No.
right,
And if you always have questions, then you guys call that Darren.
Darren.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Yes,
Didn't
you
I
should
say
get
all
very,
Steve Christensen one, that's for the building edition.
Well, but
Yeah, that's
Double
for
F
the,
has got
that's
two
for
of them, he wants to put it-
agrivision.
That's Christensen, so it's
Yeah.
on Esterville.
isn't, did
How
you
big
say
is it?
Brian's got two of them, though he wants to put in two buildings, right?
Yeah, yeah, then the other one Brian had was, well, it's the property, where Ag States has, right off the border of where Ag States has that fertilizer, tank, up there by, Stammers.
Who's this Steve Christensen?
You want to know?
Christensen Construction out of Esterville, they're still, they're gonna put up the building.
They're gonna add
For
on
agrivision.
Oh, the agrivision.
Agrivision's edition.
Okay, well, that's a little bit confusing.
It's actually, yeah,
Well,
it'll be going on
yeah.
the south side of their existing,
He
on their
puts-
shop end, it'll
He
be
puts
going
up-
to
he
the
puts up
south.
steel buildings. So he's out of Esterville.
No, but then the other one Brian had, I can pass this one around too. He wants to run the building east-west, and with this one, he said he could move it if he had to, move it further away from the property line. Like I said, I'll pass this around, let you take a look at it. He wants to go a 30 by 100 foot. It's gonna be four poured walls. He wants a 15-foot ceiling so he can pull his truck and trailer in. Yeah, the peak tall enough for truck and trailer. Building east to west. Building is on, will be on the west property line, but if he has to, he said he could possibly move it out. We'll have to talk a little more with him at that point. And then he did mention too, where as close as the property line is what's acceptable. And then he also did say, would consider buying that property where Ag States has that fertilizer area, you know, depending, of course, depending on price, but.
that one may have to go to the zoning committee also.
Yeah. How close is it to the property lines?
Well, he said if he had to, he could move it out.
Was that the one that, I don't know how much I can say, you know, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're going, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fairy tale.
You really can't talk about it right now.
No.
No.
Here, look at it.
And then here's this other one.
Okay, any more on
Oh, crap.
building nuisances?
I have something on electric, water, sewer. It says your front sidewalk is at the cracks. Yeah, can we get like that hydrocrete or whatever?
Yeah.
Clean it out real good, make sure they clean it out real good, and pour it in. That stuff lasts a long time.
Where's this at? There's
Out here on the
Oh,
sidewalk,
okay.
in the, where the four squares meet.
Diamonds up.
Yeah.
diamond up.
Well, and then also up here then, because I had ladies jump me out of the shower the
Yeah,
other day,
you-
that we need to
you know
get
what
those
stuff I'm
holes
talking
fixed. I
about.
said, I don't even think about them, I guess I go around them.
Hydrocrete,
Yeah.
I do.
I
guess,
have
but,
forklifts,
yeah,
the forklift track.
Steve Kelly
Only
and I
you
was
clean
gonna
it
talk
out.
to Rich.
But yeah, there's
And
two holes there. right
The
here.
only other thing I have is, what's the update on the hole in front of Iowa State Bank?
That we were waiting for it to cool off, so cause me, Steve and Kelly and Rich were down to.
Okay, because I get a lot of complaints about that. And I wonder when that was gonna get accomplished, because a lot of people blame the city for that, so.
Okay, anybody else have anything to add? Finally, to your open session.
Oh, sure.
Granted to
He's gonna sit there and quiet all
finally, award for waiting the longest, also granted.
My name's Charles Bailey. I work for Bear. I am a technical agronomist here in the
Paullina and following counties. I'm looking at doing a teaching garden with the school for a pollinator garden, and didn't know if that had to come to the city or if I was able to talk to the schools about it for the elementary kids. Just a growing garden, kind of just get them out and into the community for an involvement project. No cost to the city, it's all my costs. I just see about putting like a little garden out there for kids to have a little bit of corn, a little bit of milkweed and things like that.
Where did you want to do this at?
At the elementary school?
In
The school here in.
High school.
Yeah, the high school.
In Zion or just?
No, the regular high school.
Public, okay.
Yeah. That was all. I was coming to ask.
Where are you gonna put it at the high school?
I don't know yet. I was just
Oh.
seeing if I had to come here to talk first before I'd ask the
There used to
school.
be a greenhouse behind the bus barn.
I'm new to Paullina. I have no idea. I just
Okay.
moved here, so no idea.
I would think that would just have to go to the school.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so that's why I came to City Hall about
Yeah.
it first.
You bet.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't wait so
Sorry,
long.
you gotta wait so long.
That's okay.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks, Charles.
Maybe we have the property in the building to build a fence.
Maybe we have property.
Yeah, right here at the fence, yeah.
Public safety set it up, I'm thinking.
Just
Okay.
east, he lives just east where I live.
He
On
bought
the corner.
Tash's old parents' hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was kinda like that modular in
Yeah.
there.
I see you guys have,
Preacher Dave's house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a preacher.
you guys are gonna update the employee handbook?
Are we?
We're going backwards now?
Well, I wasn't done, I had a question.
Well, you know what, I think it's late, I think we should just quit.
All right, give me a
You're done.
call and we'll go through the employee handbook.
Yes, let's just do
It's
that,
mostly
bring up our
regarding their
suggestions.
auto pay thing has that part, we'll have
Oh,
to change that also
okay.
because of that.
Oh.
That's where it was tied into this one, but now we put that off, so.
Okay.
So that wait until another pay period?
Yeah, is that, why are we waiting? Why aren't we doing it the next time?
We've just had more questions. I know we were gonna try to start it
The 12th, you said?
the 12th,
Yep,
but just with questions that are coming up as far as the pay, because in order for it to work right, still wanted to run it till Sunday, shut it off at the regular time on Sunday. And then time cards get turned in Monday morning,
right,
and then that gets entered into the system and then gets sent to the bank.
right.
And then the goal was to have checks in the account by Friday morning.
Right.
And then I know there's a handful of folks that don't want to do that. They still want the
Check.
handwritten checks and,
But they'll still get it on Friday.
So why are
And
we,
then-
so we're changing payday from Friday to Monday?
We have to give the
Monday.
banks enough time to get
Monday, Friday.
automatic
Oh, Monday,
stuff.
no, Friday.
Bank-
Yeah, Friday
it's
from
Monday.
Monday.
How long does
Right.
it take?
It should only take like 24 hours.
Carla said he told her 2 to 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said it takes a couple days.
Runson
Once-
submits theirs on Monday and they get paid, it's in their account on Wednesday.
Okay, and it's
We
probably
do
how,
ours on,
but,
it comes out Thursday when it's on Friday.
Yep,
So yeah, A State gets paid,
No,
they're,
it's usually a day.
it's on Thursday. at
it's on
midnight.
Thursday, it's directly deposit at midnight.
and that's what I figured.
So
Everyone
it takes a
I
day.
It takes a day.
It's just a
One day.
day. so-
I don't know, that's what you said the bank
Yeah.
told him.
Yeah, yeah, if that's
He's
what
gotta
they told
go.
them, that's
Yeah,
okay.
I said two
Yeah.
days for sure.
Yeah, and I can follow up with them again just to see what,
And maybe until they see, I mean, we don't have a bunch of them.
right, it's not that big of a not that big of a payroll as far as number of checks being written.
So are we
every 2 weeks.
tabling that till
Yes.
next time?
Because and that's why we're waiting now?
Yeah.
Because there was more questions or whatever?
Would it be helpful if somebody from the bank came and explained this to
Well,
all
I
of
don't
us?
think we,
Or,
all they gotta
No?
do is
Okay.
bring it in, let them do it.
Can you also maybe check on, does our summit program have payroll?
Yes, it
You
does.
know?
Costly.
But it's costly, this is free.
Well, I mean for time entry.
Oh, yeah, I think they can do it that way,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, we can get to
That's
that,
not a
but we have to
problem.
buy the module.
She
Okay,
just has
sure.
to
it's just, it's
put it
just,
to, because, yeah,
it's just crazy how like certain,
because you'll just go
Everybody's
down for a
different.
stub now. and
Like you
just
guys get-
write automatic.
from Thursday to Thursday, by Friday, it's in 24 hours within your account, so I guess I don't get that.
It what?
It does print.
I don't work at a bank either, so.
Yeah, I don't know, the banking procedure.
Because I said something to Carol
You
about
get
it, she
the-
said, no, we don't get stuff.
There is stuff, I just don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Get what you need, and then Carol and I'll work on getting the handbook updated.
Okay.
Yep, I think we just have to change the pay date then. Well, you find out if they can do it any sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes no difference to me. If we can do it on Thursday, that would be just fine too.
Or even on a Wednesday.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's just weird that each state gets bigger.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know.
It's
But it
just
would
weird
be
that
nice, it would be nice to do it at the, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe they could get it by the Wednesday, but, you know,
Yeah, whatever.
just so we don't have to change the
We don't want to
the
change
end.
it.
Yeah, we don't want
Yeah.
to change too much.
No.
You know, just so it's a easy
Whatever works for
transition.
them.
Yep,
Yeah.
that sounds good, Scott.
Yeah.
That's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, it will be nice, I would think.
Oh, I love it.
What else?
Yeah.
Next.
Well, and then I guess another question with that, will everybody be required to do it? Or
No.
could we still go back and forth if somebody wants a check?
Well, I've got
I've
some-
worked places that required, and I've worked places that.
It's kind of about,
That's
it's
up
you,
to you.
the employee committee needs to bring it to us what they want us to do.
Well, we can set it up, we can say now it's optional, but I've heard some of the places say that you get new employees, then it's definitely that.
Yeah.
I don't,
You're
so,
grandfathered in usually for a check, unless she is a new employee, and then
the new employees.
So like everybody
go
here
on.
right now is grandfathered in for a check, and if once you guys change it, then the new,
Then they-
but yeah, that's up to you guys, you would have to bring it to us, and we would have to.
Yeah, if it's a new employee, they're automatically that way, and the other ones can make their choice.
it's kind of like the vision and dental insurance that they had before.
Right.
Well, sounds like we'll have some discussion about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's all we have to, now, as long as they bring in the cards at the same time, we're not changing anything that way. That was what he
Okay,
said.
what else? What's next?
All right, that's it, unless there's council comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a question.
Oh,
Was
sorry,
I on the
Don.
claims list?
What?
Was I on the claims list this month?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see
CompuWiz. Yep,
but- Is it?
CompuWiz, I see $100.
Okay, very good. One little comment and a little question on that. I got the check
Oh,
that you guys approved back in June. I got that in the middle of August.
Okay,
The check was dated June 6th, which means somebody's been hanging on to it for 2.5 months. And I would like to know where in that ordinance book it says you can do that.
It doesn't. I looked for it and it doesn't say in the ordinance. In the
I
ordinance it
just
says,
want to make you guys aware of it, that
you know,
that's not acceptable.
you know,
So. And then also the other comment was my name's been getting pulled from the claims list. And I don't know anywhere in the ordinances that says the mayor or even a clerk. I don't know who's been doing it. I got my guesses. Can do that too. Because you guys decide if you're gonna pay me or pay anybody. You guys decide that. So that's been taken away from you. You know, if there's a problem, fine. I discuss it with you guys, but no. And so the one big question is, am I the only one that's happened to? Or has there been other vendors pulled out of the claims list and you don't know it? Or that, that just kind of,
I guess-
the checks and balances gotta be there.
I guess I could
Yeah.
answer this way. I can't answer that I know anybody else has not got paid or anything to that effect. You didn't get paid. You finally did in August. We approved your payment on the claims list.
Yeah.
If you don't get a check, call City Hall right away and let us know that you didn't get a check.
Yeah, because that check was cut, that one that you approved before, that check was cut the day after it was approved. So,
Yep, so if you don't receive your payment, let somebody know. and we'll-
Anyway, I'm done. I made my comment. Thank you very much for
Thank you, John.
that. So,
Can I ask, I see a post for web posting for 3 years, so are we paid ahead till April 7th, 2023 on web hosting?
on the hosting,
Yes.
I would say that's probably correct.
Thank you.
So you are our web host until,
No, the host is iPage.
okay.
The host of what?
Domain.
The host is iPage. That's just where the website is stored.
So have you ever
That's
gotten
not the
passwords?
website.
So, you'll have to ask him that. He doesn't communicate anymore, so that's what makes it fun. And Scott
Okay.
again.
Well, it's not around.
All right, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other comments, or I will call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Carol, making seconded. Any other discussion to extend said meeting, or all in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Say nay.
They can send in a car, though. I know what they'd do.
Even.